Hello, how are we all? And welcome to episode 2 of Bytes, where we look into digital marketing, web design, general life, and kind of everything in between. First episode, which went to air last week, we talked about web development and the process we use. So if you want to check that out, if you're in the middle of redoing your website or thinking about it, it's a good episode to check out. But today, I want to get back to basics and sort of basics of digital marketing and basics really of marketing, full stop. So the two areas I want to talk about today in regards to your digital marketing are your target audience and your branding. And these are two very important elements for any marketing, especially digital marketing, but this can be applied to your traditional print and old school sort of advertising as well. So, number one, your target audience. And this is surprising, this one, when I ask clients who their target audience is, because we get a myriad of answers. Some are very clear on who they are, and some don't have much idea at all, which is a bit scary. And I was in that boat a few years ago. I never delved deep into who it was I was really chasing as that perfect client, but it's such an important step when you're thinking about any way of attracting an audience. You've got to know who they are, and you've got to be very crystal clear. And a really good way of doing this is to put a name to the person. Your target audience may have a couple of different avatars, so there may be a couple of segments within your market that you're trying to target. And if there is, you need to do this exercise with each of these. And that is writing down their age, their name, their interests, what phone they use. Get really, really crystal clear on who that person is. Have a picture of them in front of you and put a name to them, Rob or Tracy or Sven. It could be anybody. But being very crystal clear on that person and giving them a sort of avatar and a face is very important, because it gets you into the mindset of that target audience. Because there's no way you're going to be able to communicate with an audience if you don't do this. If you put a blanket message out that you're trying to sort of give to everybody, nobody will hear. But if you can be very targeted in your approach to who you're trying to market to, the message will be heard a lot clearer. So a quick exercise you can do with this is get it down on paper. It's really as simple as that. Have your name, have your interests, have your age, have your location, what they're reading, what they're doing at the weekend, the kind of technology they use, the social media platforms they're using. Be very crystal clear and get this down on paper, and use this when you're trying to market a specific part of your business or just in general for your business. It's such a very, very important step. So the second element that I want to talk about today is branding. And branding does cover a large area. It's every touch point of your business, really. I mean, branding is your business, the personality of your business. But what I want to talk about today is more your visual branding, I suppose, and your language that you use, and consistency of these elements within your brand. One thing I see a lot of people doing is using way too many visual elements across their different touch points, from a social media post to their website to maybe a flyer that they've done. And with this sort of approach, when there's an overuse of design elements or visual elements in any of the marketing work, you're just going to confuse your audience. There's no consistency. You want to make sure that imagery has the same kind of texture, feel, that the colors are consistently used correctly, that the language is used to let your brand speak authentically and in a consistent manner. I keep saying consistency, but the consistency is such an important word when it comes to your branding. And this is why brands, large and small, need to have some form of guideline to control the use of their visual brand down to a fine art. And I'm talking down to the exact fonts you're going to use each time, the color you will use each time, and having them in a guideline. You can call it a style guide, you can call it brand guidelines, but it's a really important element, and it's a really important process for clients, big and small, to go through, to have their little brand Bible ready at hand to give to a web developer, to give to a social media strategist, to make sure that the visual elements that are produced for any marketing campaign are consistent, because that builds such a strong connection with the audience that see your material in the various places in the market: web, social, print. So that brand style guideline, I'm calling it all sorts of different things just now, but a document that tells people and yourself how your visual elements will be used at all times. The other element that I want to talk about in regards to branding is the language that you're going to use. So the story, so the way your personality of your brand speaks. Because consistent use of these elements over time just produces a connection with your audience that is so important. So I think that maybe covers it for today's Meta Byte. So the topics obviously I covered today are your avatar, your target audience, really getting clear on who it is you're marketing to. And once you've got that, and once you're starting your marketing campaigns, is to make sure you have a consistent use of your branding, especially from the visual elements and the language. Because without that, you're kind of fighting a losing battle. So hopefully that's been helpful for you today. I should do a bloopers at the end of this, because I tried so many times to do certain parts of this and there was a bit of swearing involved. But I've got through this, and I've added some little bits of music into it just to break it up, because it was broken up so much by my frustration. But thank you very much for listening, and stay tuned for another episode.